boy, her, I'm back. I haven't done a entertainment what I've been loving wrap up since the end of last year because December was insane. It was the lead up to Christmas, getting my Christmas crafting done, prepping for Bookmas, going to Disney and Universal, coming back, chaos, chaos, chaos. It was also, we were dealing with a lot of Omicron stuff at school. Pretty much had to throw out my whole curriculum again. Well, not even throw it out, but I had planned to do something different and then it just didn't work. So I had to like revamp my whole curriculum sort of on the fly. I started a drama club after school. It was a little bit of a chaotic couple of months, but I did want to come and say what the stuff I've been focusing my entertainment life on because I find that interesting and people seem to like the video. So the first thing I watched on January 2nd or 3rd was the Harry Potter special. I have mentioned this quite a few times. I started liking Harry Potter when I was in middle school, high school. That was when I started. It was when everyone was loving Harry Potter. Harry Potter will always be a very big part of my life. The movies had a big impact on me. The characters had a big impact on me. However, I do realize that J.K. Rowling has some disgusting views, and I am still navigating my relationship with her and with that. I don't support her anymore, but I do still love in engaging in things that represent the fandom. I'm an avid MuggleCast listener. I am a Patreon for them. I listen to their takes. They read the books with I read the books with them. I read the books with Swish and Flick. So I am finding ways to make my own Harry Potter community, even if that is not supporting J.K. Rowling as hard as, to the best of my ability. But this special was delightful to me. I just loved looking. It really was, it just, those like Harry, Ron, Hermione, Emma Watson, Dan Radcliffe, and Rupert Grint are always going to hold such a special place in my heart. I have a collection of Funkos that just remind me of the actors, and it's just delightful. This special really tugged at my heartstrings. It just really, really did. I just loved seeing them interact with each other. I loved the stories. I just loved how it was put together. Was it perfect? No. Would I have loved all of them to be in the same exact room? Of course, because that's just me. But there was a lot of heartfelt moments in the special that just really was very, very well done. I am not a big Friends fan. I know that they did a reunion for Friends as well, but this was one that just really like captured me, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And it just put a smile on my face. That's just what it did. It just put a smile on my face. It was really, really enjoyable. And that's my take on that. I also watched a couple of documentaries, which I literally have not seen any movies this year. I am a bad movie watcher. I'll be very, very honest. At my house anyway. But I watched the Lula Rich documentary on Amazon Prime. Here is a photo. Documentary sent me down a very deep hole of investigating and looking at this company, and I was fascinated. It is like a 4-part documentary, and then I just watched a bunch of like other ex-consultants videos. There was a couple of mini documentaries on YouTube that I watched. I was fascinated. I think I was a psych major in college when I went to college the first time. I went to college, I have a couple of different degrees, but my first degree was a psych major, and I love the psychology of cults. I think it's so interesting. It's fascinating to me. This is a cult. Like, it just is, and it's just really interesting to see how these people, their reactions to it, and their, like, what they thought and the elements of it. I watched two official documentaries. One was like this one. There was another one that was on Discovery Plus that I literally got just for the documentary, and then I canceled my subscription because I wanted to see their take. So I watched 2 of them. One on Discovery Plus, The Rise and Fall of LuLaRoe, I think had a more balanced view, like the positive and the negatives, because they did have people that were currently still in the company. So you could sort of see both sides of it. Thought it was interesting. I think I liked Lula Rich a little bit more because it sort of was more focused on the cult aspect of it. They were both really, really interesting, and I just dived down like a deep hole after that and watched a lot of ex-consultant videos and just found it very, very fascinating. But as a psych major, super interesting. Speaking of a psych major, I also watched 2 documentaries on Netflix. One is called The Puppet Master. This is a wild story. I have a deep fascination with true crime, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in the podcast I've been listening to. But this story was wild. So you basically follow this gentleman, and you kind of see him as he sort of skates through life, and he's a con man, but he's a very, very sinister con man. And you follow like 2 different groups of people that he has conned, and it is alarming. It is just an alarming story. It's like I think this one was the app, or maybe this was the I think both the ones I watched. I think the Tinder Swindler, which I'll talk about next, was like a documentary. This one was like a couple of parts. Like it was a couple of different episodes, and I watched it in like 2 nights. Very, very compelling. Very, very fascinating. Very, very interesting. It will make you angry. It will make you frustrated. But the one that made me incredibly frustrated was the Tinder Swindler. As a psych major, was a really interesting documentary to watch because it really made me, I don't know if it made me, I mean, it did make me angry, but it also made me see like how people could get sucked in. But you basically follow these women as they realize that they're being tricked by this Tinder swindler who's basically taking all their money. And his ending of his story is makes me so outraged. So definitely go watch it. It's definitely like, again, a really, really fast paced story, but it was really, really well done. Very, very interesting. He's come out and said a bunch of things, and I'm just intrigued by the whole story. But it was very, very well done, and I really, really like the documentary. Um, and then the next thing that I watched most of February, I will be very honest, is the Winter Olympics. I'm a big Olympics fan. Haven't watched the Winter Olympics in quite a few years, so I really went in thinking I was mostly going to watch ice skating, which I did. I was so happy to see Nathan Chen won. I was deeply invested in the figure skating outcome just because of everything that was going on with the doping scandal and the Russian skating and all that stuff. I thought it was very unfair that she was allowed to compete, but even more fair at what happened after she kept having issue after issue after issue and then placed fourth. Just I think it was very, very fair to her that she was even put in that position. But it was beautiful. I got to watch a lot of Olympics I've never seen. I got to ski downhill skiing. I got to see snowboarding. It was just a really, really interesting Olympics to watch, and I really, really enjoyed it. I hope in 2024 and beyond we will be back to some sense of normalcy, but it was just really, really nice to see the Olympics and see people competing and doing things that they loved again. It was really, really great. And then I talked about the other Lula Rowe documentary on Discovery Plus. And the first movie that me and my dad saw this year was Uncharted with Tom Holland. This was a super fun adventure story for me. Like, I just really liked it. My dad really liked it. He thought it was really, really easy to follow. I will watch anything that Tom Holland is in because I think he's a great actor. I really hope we get a sequel. I really liked it. I like that he is able to do a bit more outside of Spider-Man because I just think he's a really, really good actor. And I needed to see him again after No Way Home, which is coming out in a couple of weeks, and I'm definitely going to be buying that. But this was really, really fun movie. It was very, very action adventure based. I thought it was really, really fun. I liked the whole cast, and it was great. So now let's move on to the TV shows that I've been devouring. So I made a couple of changes to my entertainment life this year. I pretty much forced myself to stop rewatching true crime documentaries because they are a time suck. They really, really are. So I only let myself watch them as I'm falling to sleep, or even not even then. I maybe let myself watch them sometimes on Fridays at work because Fridays at work is a little bit of a hectic day. But I really have limited myself to just watching new ones because honestly, it's a time suck. The other thing I've stopped doing is waiting for weeks to catch up on YouTube because I find that by the time I watch the videos, like, it's so many months later that like I feel like I'm missing content and I feel like it's not as relevant to when I'm watching it. So I try every single Sunday to be caught up on that week's YouTube videos. It's about 20 to 30 videos. I can definitely do it. Some days, some weeks I'm better at others. Like this week I didn't watch anything because it was just a really, really busy week. So I'm probably gonna have to watch quite a few of those. But that is my update, and that is why I've been like having better balance of watching TV shows and YouTube videos and true crime content, because I've really been trying to catch up and stay caught up. So we'll see how successful I am for the rest of the year, but so far I've been doing a pretty good job. So right when I come back from Disney, I had a bunch of stuff to catch up on, like a ridiculous amount, and it was just really, really quick catch up. But I spent most of the first couple of weeks catching up on Schitt's Creek and finishing Schitt's Creek. I finished season 3, season 4, season 5, season 6, and the farewell documentary. So I had a really, really fun time watching most of Schitt's Creek in 2022, and it was delightful. It was sort of a mix between Gilmore Girls meets like people that like got like were rich and lost all their money. I do not think I would like this show so much, but I really, really did. I think the acting was really, really good. I also really enjoyed that it focused on a family. But my dad's music was so loud and it was distracting me. But I enjoyed it. I flew through the show the tail end of 2021 to most of 2022. I like that it's written by a father and a son. I just loved all the actors. It was a really enjoyable show, very, very heartfelt, and I went back and rewatched a couple of the episodes after I finished just because I was in the mood to keep watching, but it was really, really fun. Yeah, so I did that. So I watched a couple of seasons of that. And then I started catching up again. I watched the first couple episodes of Call Me Kat, which stars Maya Bialik. It's in its second season. Really enjoying that. It's quite cute. I really like all the actors in that show as well. I finished Nancy Drew. I totally caught up on Nancy Drew. So I finished season 3 of Nancy Drew. Really liked it. Very, very eerie. Very, very creepy. Probably as horror as I can go, but I really did like that show. I also did catch up for the time being on Walker, Texas Ranger. I did like a big catch up to start the year off strong, and I think I have to go back now and like actually like catch up again, because I think I'm a little bit farther behind now that we're midway through March, and I actually have to double check I'm not too far behind, because I fall into traps like that. But I really do like Walker, Texas Ranger. Walker, Texas Ranger is sort of like Call Me Kat. It has a really, really fun cast that I'm just really, really liking. And it is just fun. Like, I really do like the actors in that. And the story I also am really liking, but I'm definitely there more for the actors in that one. I caught up on The Flash. They had like a five-part episode. So that was really interesting as well. I'm curious to see where that show goes next. Definitely one of my favorite DC shows of all time. I love The Flash. I also picked up How I Met Your Father, which stars Hilary Duff. And again, sort of a thing with Walker and Kate, Call Me Kat. I love that cast, and I missed the bandwagon so badly on How I Met Your Mother, who also had a really, really good cast, that I'm really happy getting in like the ground floor, because it's really enjoyable. It's very, very funny, and it's just really, really relatable. I also didn't write it down, but I also am watching Superman and Lois. I caught up a little bit on that. Again, another DC show that I'm also really, really liking. Oh, I did put Superman and Lois. I caught up on Legacies. Again, definitely one of my favorite shows in that world. One of my students really wants me to watch the original, so I may have to go back and watch that as well. And then let's get in. Oh, and then The Good Doctor. I am watching season 5 at this point. I'm not that far into that. I actually got a little bit distracted. I will get into why I got distracted in a little bit. But I do want to catch up on that. There's a couple more shows I also do want to catch up on, but Good Doctor is definitely one of them. So far, it is leading up to Sean's wedding at the end of the season, and I think some drama is going to happen. But again, a really, really enjoyable show. So those are all the shows that I'm like in the process of watching. Like, they're in the middle of an actual season, and the season's not quite done yet. But the next couple are ones that I finished. I also did, after I finished watching Schitt's Creek, I finished watching The Good Witch. I watched season 6 and 7. My dad, I think, is also finishing it as well. But I really liked the end of that show. I was really happy that I picked that up and was able to finish it. It was really, really enjoyable. I didn't know going in it was the last season, but I really, really liked it. And then Another show that I finished was Wheel of Time, which was inspired by the Robert Jordan book. I really like that as well. I finished that like about a week ago. That was also really enjoyable. I'm really excited for season 2. I have my Wheel of Time book over here that I really would love to read soon. We'll see if that happens. They're a bit of a monster. And then the shows that I'm in the middle of that I've just not given the time to is Boba Fett, which is a Star Wars show that I watched the first episode, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I liked it. I feel like if I watch more, I will probably love it. So just need to give that one a little bit more time. And Sweet Magnolia season 2, I'm almost done with. But again, I was like putting off watching it like a little bit hesitantly, and now I really like it. I just got a little bit distracted. The reason I got so distracted is I had a really bad sinus infection for like 2 weeks, and I just was really unfocused. It made me incredibly nauseous, and I just really didn't feel like doing anything. So I watched like 4 seasons of The Big Bang Theory, just knocked it out, and that's really what I did for like 2 weeks. I was really, really nauseous, really didn't feel that great. Still battling it, to be honest, but I'm feeling a lot better. So yeah, those are all like the entertainment stuff that I did, like movie and TV wise. And now I'm going to get into the other stuff that I've been doing just to sort of pass the time. I'll get into a few little work things that just happened that were keeping me occupied. So let's get into that. I haven't added any major new podcasts that I've been listening to. I still listen to Millennial, Mugglecast. Oh, Prophecy Radio I'm still listening to. That's doing the Rick Riordan reread. I'm almost done with Sea of Monsters that they're doing, and I'm really liking that. The only new one I started listening to relatively frequently was Pub Dates by Amy Kaufman and her writing friend. They're taking us on the journey to their books coming out in 2023. And I love Amy Kaufman as a writer, and the other girl's book sounds really, really interesting. So I think that's a bi-weekly podcast. So I think next week I'll have a new episode to listen to. I've also have tried to not listen to older episodes of Morbid, but listen to the newer episodes. Sometimes their true crime cases are a little bit dark for me, so I tend to like listen to the first episode, and if it's a lot of parts, and then listen to the last episode because I think that they're really, really great storytellers. Just some of those cases are a little bit darker for me. So I've been doing that. I've been listening to some podcasts. Obviously, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks. Also, I'm in the process of putting together my tenure binder, which has taken a lot of time, like a crazy amount of time. So I've had to do a lot of revisions for that and sort of get everything organized and print stuff out. That's taken a lot of time. And it's really distracted me both from working out. I haven't been really feeling my best, honestly, so I really haven't been working out that much. So I'm hoping to make a comeback in the next couple of weeks. I've also booked a trip to Aruba. So I'm doing that the first week of summer, which I'm really excited about. That was like a big decision to make, and I'm really happy that I made it. I'm really excited for a relaxing trip. I've never had a beach getaway. I just totally booked that this week. Really excited for that. So I have to do a bunch of stuff to plan for that, and like working out is also key for that as well. But I'm really excited for that as well. But because I've been doing my tenure binder, I really have to clean off my desk and sort of get ready for crafting because I love to craft. I just don't have enough time when I'm doing like a bunch of different projects. But yeah, I really haven't been playing any video games. I really am embarrassed about that. I love video games. It just tends to be an activity that I do when I'm not been busy. And the past couple of months have just been really, really busy. So hopefully when I don't have to worry about grading anymore, I can really focus on video games. It's just has not happened. So that is what I've been loving. I will try to do this at the end of every month, but it might be every 2 months. Let me know what you've been loving recently, and I'll talk to you for my next video.